Okay, right here you can see a timing mark. That's for top dead center. So I'm going to roll my engine so that I'm on top dead center, which should basically be somewhere right there. We may have to move it once we put the cam in. Okay, I'm going to put my camshaft in. I inspected my bearings and they all look okay. I threw a little oil in them. I'm going to look at all the lobes. You can see this spot right here, that's bad. This camshaft is junk. So there's really no use measuring it. It's good enough for a teardown engine, but if you see any hard facing missing like that, it is junk. I've got it rigged up on the crane and the engine inverted. So when you put these in, you got to be really careful and work it in, because you don't want to ding up your bearings. These bearings are really in bad shape. So get it started in the bore. You can do this from the front with a, if you had a cam installation tool. I'll tell you right now, this is a lot harder, or that's a lot harder. So there I got to kind of work it to get it lined up with the, so see I hit that bearing bore and the second cam bearing bore. I'm looking at all these lobes as I go in. And I'm not seeing too bad ones. Well, right there, that one's pretty bad too. So, like I say, this would be due for a camshaft. This engine would. You have to just be patient with this when you do this, because it hangs up on the lobes as you go in. See there, it hung up on me, so I gotta turn it and get it to line up. Looks like it's going now. Keep your fingers out of the way. These camshafts are sharp. They will pinch you. There, see, I turned that and got that to go. Okay. Anytime you got to put a camshaft in from an end like this, this is ideal if you can. And quite honestly, most of the time you get to doing crank camshafts, you're probably out of the chassis anyways. Uh-oh. We're not going in very good right now. There it goes. Pass it. So you just keep turning it, lining it up. I guarantee you're going to do a lot less damage to the cam bearings this way than you would if you did it the other way. What I did, I just used a chain and some thick washers. If you got some thick fender washers, those work really good. Or some cat eyes, you know, there's different ways of doing this. Okay, now see the cam and the crank don't line up yet, so we'll have to time that accordingly after we get this in here. Now I'm in and I'm started. I'm going to actually leave it up just a little bit, and I'm going to put something underneath it so that I can get my nuts out of there. You can see what I did. I just put some thick washers and a bolt through the chain like that. Okay, this is the thrust bearing for the camshaft. It can go in either way. Usually put the part number out. So it's going to slip in here. That manages your thrust bearing, keeps it from sliding in too far. Okay, you can see the thrust bearing down here. That keeps the cam from sliding back and forth too far. I'll line those holes up there. Put our bolts in it. There's one there, and there's going to be one on the other side. That'll torque to the 45 foot-pounds again. Okay, I got my torque wrench set already. Okay, I need to make sure I got end play on this. do. I can feel it moving up and down. Okay, we're going to put our timing gears on. You can see there's a mark here and a mark here, one there, and then there's top dead center on the crankshaft. So basically, I lubed this bushing up, so that needs to spin freely. And they're a tapered gear, so you have to be right on the money pretty much to get it to go. Okay, I got it to go on. This line's marked up with this one, this line's marked up with this one, so the cam and crank timing are ready to go. I need to put the thrust plate on here. This side has a groove on it. That's because it's a thrust washer, keeps it from coming off. So that's held on with 4 bolts. I said this is one of the more critical things you're going to check, is to make sure that the cam and crank timing are correct. Okay, there's a mark here and here, and then you can also see a K here and a K here when it's on top dead center. We'll also need to time our fuel injection pump, but that's done after we get the flywheel cover on, or the flywheel housing on, and the flywheel, so we can pin the flywheel on top dead number 1. But like I said, this is critical. This is lined up, these are lined up, and there's a K here and a K here. Torque our cam bolts. I also need to put some lube behind this before I put it on. I lubed the camshaft, made sure it turned well. Okay, we're going to install our cam followers. So these are all marked where they came from. If you were doing a new camshaft, you would want to replace it. This little clip has to be in here. There's a little groove that sits in. We're going to go down here and put some oil in it. I'm going to lube up the roller. Like I said, it only goes in one way. You really can't screw this up. Well, I suppose you could if you really wanted to. Okay, we'll get them all started.
Push them down, and obviously some are going to be higher than others because it depends on what lobe we're on a cam. This little clip that's in there, that also helps retain it so it doesn't come out. Yeah, see, that one won't go in because it's got an actuator valve on it. So is that one. Or that would be pushing up on the push tube, which would actuate our valve train.